So when I rewatch Stargate SG-1, I tend to watch it completely out of order. I just jump around and impulsively decide, oh, I want to watch this episode in this season. Oh, but then I want to go earlier in the season and watch this other episode. Oh, but then I want to jump back a season and watch this other episode. And oh, now I want to jump forward 2 seasons and watch that episode. And I always tell myself that the next time I sit down for a rewatch, I'm going to do it chronologically. I'm going to start at the beginning, and I'm going to go all the way through to the end. And since the show is on Netflix now, I, of course, sat down to start another rewatch, and I went back to my old habits. I am jumping around the way I usually do. But I just wanted to maybe make some nice, short, mostly off the cuff, if you couldn't tell, videos about some of the episodes that I've been rewatching, because sometimes I have little observations or little commentary and I don't really have anyone else to discuss them with, so I figured I would discuss them with you. And you know, Stargate SG-1 is one of my comfort shows. It's something that is just really good to go back and rewatch when things feel kind of stressful. And so I just wanted to make some nice videos about this nice show because we all deserve nice things.
I feel fine.
This video is about Season 2, Episode 17, entitled Holiday. In this episode, SG-1 meets this old scientist named Micello, who spent his life developing technology in order to fight the Goa'uld. We get this kind of like info dump explanation from teal'c at the beginning, who's like, I recognize your face. I'm going to tell everyone your entire backstory for an extended period of time.
You are the one called Micello, are you not?
Do I know you?
You do not. But I have seen images of you. Since before I was born, this man has been a fugitive from the System Lords. One of my first assignments as first Prime of Apophis was to hunt this man.
And Micello believes that because of all of the sacrifices that he's made throughout his life in order to fight the Goa'uld, he is essentially owed a do-over. He's owed like a new body and a new life because his old man body is dying. So he tricks Daniel into body swapping and then pretends to be Daniel when they get back to the base, so he can leave and kind of wander around and experience the world. Eventually, the SGC realizes, like, hold up, this old man we've got in this bed dying is actually Daniel.
The dress your sister wore last week when I took her out.
I don't have a sister, Jack. And if I did, I would let you dear her.
And so they go get Micello and Daniel's body, bring him back. There's some other body swap shenanigans with Jack and teal'c. And then Daniel manages to convince Micello to swap back with him by basically comparing him to a Goa'uld, who Micello strongly hates and does not want to be like.
No, I wouldn't. Because then I would become no better than the Goa'uld. I am not a Goa'uld. I hate the Goa'uld.
And so Daniel and Micello swap back, and then Micello dies. It pains me to share this, but many, many years ago, when I was first watching this episode, I totally had no idea that Michael Shanks was also playing Micello. Like, in my defense, I was fairly young at the time, but watching it now, like, the second you hear his voice, it's so obvious because he just sounds like Daniel with a head cold.
Yes, that's right. I am Daniel Jackson from the planet Earth.
But the makeup is pretty good. The old man makeup that they do and the prosthetics do help hide Michael Shanks' facial features, but that voice is a dead giveaway. Also, fun fact, I feel like a lot of people know this, but just in case you don't, Michael Shanks also does the voice for Thor, the Asgard. The funny thing about this choice to have Michael Shanks play Micello in this episode is that there's literally no reason for it. There are none of the common sci-fi tropes that would seemingly lend themselves to having the same actor play both roles. Like, Micello isn't Daniel from the future. He's not Daniel's grandfather. They just randomly decided that, yeah, Michael Shanks is also going to play this old man who has no real relation to Daniel, and then they swap bodies. I doubt there were, like, budget issues or anything where they sat back and said, we really can't afford to rent a wolf for the spirits episode and hire a random old man for holiday, so we gotta make some hard cuts. Well, I guess we can rent a dog for spirits and then just have Michael Shanks play the old man. Savings! You know, Micello was basically just in stasis in his lab with the Stargate right there. So he is extremely lucky that things worked out the way they did, because one, it could have been Jaffa or Goa'uld coming through the gate at any time. And secondly, the people that did come through the gate and wake him up were attractive. I do love the scenes of Micello in Daniel's body, just like running around on the street trying to interact with people.
Hello, friend. I am new to this area. I would like to learn about your culture and customs. Will you teach me? Do you not understand me?
And then he meets Fred, who is inferred to be a homeless man, also on the street asking for money.
Let us feast together, Fred, and celebrate our strangeness and newfound friendship.
This is what I say when I try to make new friends. Celebrate our strangeness together. If I could needlepoint, I would put that on a pillow. It brings me such delight to see how Micello goes about learning the customs of our planet. Like, if it were me, I would just sit tight for a while and observe people to kind of get a sense of how things work. But nope, Micello just goes right out there. What a weird scientist. And he was 100% willing to just let a strange man eat food off of his body if he believed that were the custom.
On you?
If that is the custom, we will feast on me.
He was willing to let an entire restaurant full of people eat food directly off of his body. What part of what you have seen thus far indicates that that may be the custom?
In fact, let everyone here feast on me.
If Micello did end up paying for everyone's food in that restaurant, I imagine that racked up quite a credit card bill for Daniel. And I also wonder if the military reimbursed him, because technically it's a work-related expense. Fred just assumes that Micello was a soldier who saw combat and now has PTSD.
I get the feeling you fought in the Gulf. Am I right?
Which honestly is the most reasonable assumption that he could have made, because when you look at Micello and how he's well groomed and he's dressed appropriately and he seems to function well on some levels, but on some things are kind of off, and he has this detached quality because he's trying to figure out the world around him, but that kind of quality to other people does not come across as alien in a body swap. It comes across as more of a stress reaction. So I think Fred probably made the best assessment that he could, considering the circumstances.
But I do not wish to fight any longer. From now on, I only want to eat hamburgers and French fries and ice cream sundaes, and I want to be with good people like you, friend.
Coincidentally, that is my exact New Year's resolution. The other really fun aspect of this episode is that Jack and teal'c accidentally body swap. So we get really fun scenes of teal'c acting like this.
Just give him a chance to find Daniel, okay?
And teal'c is a pretty adaptable guy. He sort of just like goes with the flow. He seems to adjust to, yes, this is potentially my body now forever. I better shave my head, which Jack is not excited about.
teal'c, you will not shave my head.
It is presently my head, O'Neill.
And then we also see teal'c in Jack's body do the eyebrow thing. And I do kind of wonder if Richard Dean Anderson had to like practice it in a mirror. Also, I had kind of initially assumed that maybe the Micello prosthetics were very stiff, and that's why his expressions and his voice were just very subdued. But Michael Shanks makes the same acting choice when he's playing Micello in Daniel's body. He's got the same mannerisms, and he's got the same tone, and he's got kind of the same very subtle expressions.
That is why I called you. I thought perhaps I might be able to negotiate for better accommodations.
So I think that's good. I think that's really consistent. But I also still wonder if it was an acting choice that was necessitated by the makeup. Like if he put on the prosthetics and realized he could only act Micello a certain way, so he just carried that over into his acting of Micello without the prosthetics. Either way. He also says Goa'uld when he's Micello, and he says Gould when he's Daniel, which I think is just like a nice little touch.
Better than the Gould. I am not a Goa'uld.
Then at the end, they have to do kind of a musical chairs body swap in order to get everyone back to their original bodies, because you can't directly reverse a swap between two people who already swapped. So you have to all kind of swap with each other until everyone's like back in the right spot. I tried to like remember off the top of my head all of the different little swaps, and I wrote it down.
We're gonna have to play a little musical chairs with your bodies. First, Colonel, you and Micello will switch.
So the initial swap is Jack in teal'c's body and Micello in Daniel's body. So then Jack is in Daniel's body and Micello is in teal'c's body. And then teal'c in Jack's body switches with Daniel in Micello's body.
Danny boy.
Jack?
So Daniel is in Jack's body and teal'c is in Micello's body. And then teal'c and Micello swap, and then Jack and Daniel swap, and then everyone is back where they're supposed to be.
I'm back.
Wow, Daniel seems so excited to be back in his correct body. Then Micello dies, and I don't think that his inventions to fight the Goa'uld were ever mentioned again. I do have two random observations. The first being that Daniel just got electrocuted in an alien lab and is behaving oddly, and General Hammond just tells him to take a day.
Dr. Fraser thought I should go home.
Take a day.
So he just goes through this, and then he only gets a day off of work. That's American sick leave policies for you. The second thing is that this is the episode where we actually get introduced to the concept of Kelno-Reem for the first time.
This likely means my body has contracted an illness my symbiote must repair. It can only accomplish its work if you put your body into a state of Kelno-Reem.
And I often forget that Kelno-Reem has an actual practical purpose for the Jaffa.
If you do not perform Kelno-Reem, it could lead to my death.
And that is just my kind of observational recap of Season 2, Episode 17, entitled Holiday.
All good things do come to an end.
If you kind of like this format of casually discussing one-off episodes, let me know, because there are definitely a couple other Season 2 episodes that I would love to talk about before moving on to season 3 and subsequently all the rest of the seasons. Part of me really wants to talk about the episode Spirits because there's a lot there, but I also think that might be a bad idea. Also, still no word on the potential new Stargate series. The last thing I heard is that MGM and all of its properties are up for sale. So this might have some sort of impact on a potential new Stargate series, but I have no way of knowing what that might be. And even Brad Wright, who would be helming the new Stargate series, also has no idea what type of effect that might have. But he doesn't seem to be too worried about it, so I'm not going to be too worried about it. I'm going to just keep hoping that any day now we get some good news. Any day. Any day.